Rob Brown breaking it all down. Yeah. SEC, sideline sports on my mind. Rob Brown calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brendan Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline sports, y'all come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune. From the booth to the field, every Saturday feeling you home. We ride that rivalry, make that living room sound like the zone. From Tiger Growls to Rebel crowds, every hometown heartbeat loud. Rob and Brand turning up that talk like you right there inside the crowd. SEC, sideline sports on my mind. Rob Brown calling game time, highlight shine, executive mind. Brandon Martin keeping Rob in line. Like, subscribe, share it, tell everyone. Sideline sports, y'all come back real soon. Same place, same time, same tune. Hey!
What time is the bell? Go outside ready today. Hey, go outside.
Look like you are in the Amazon.
For Florida, same thing.
Pythons. I mean, friends said they caught an 18-foot python last
Oh,
week
really?
in
Where?
South Florida. In South
Really?
Florida. And
Did France catch it himself?
I don't know. It would have been like a Marlon Perkins with Jim Fowler down below. But look, Rob Brown in Memphis.
He's got the hat for it. I mean,
He does. He's got the beautiful Panama
my
hat.
lens is all dirty. I'm out there fixing the internet this morning. Sorry about it. The crazy.
But like I was talking to Coach Ellis Johnson and Pete Cordelli before the show, and Dave Bartoo's with us. You got to find excuses to win. And Brendan, I've never seen anybody like you. No matter what happens, roof caves in, internet goes out. You find a way to make
Ellis
it work.
Airport shuts down, whatever.
Yeah, that's when that happened. And that was
happened.
July of 24. Hey, we got a lot to cover today. Take a picture with your phone of all the QR codes. We're live streaming Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all over social media. It's easy. Smash it, subscribe. You know the drill. And
if you're in Facebook or if you're in YouTube, you can just go to the chat. There's links in there. Just click on the links if you don't do the QR code thing. It just goes to the same place.
And we'd love to hear from you, your comments and questions during the show. And again, we are broadcasting on this Tuesday, April the 7th, the night after the national championship. And we're going to switch into some serious football talk. We're putting the pads on now. We've been in shorts the last few weeks. But Dave Bartoo, you made mention on Sunday, March 15th, around 6:23 p.m. Central, about the NCAA tournament and all. I just want you to kind of give a quick synopsis of what you said was likely to happen and what happened based on your numbers. And people follow him, College Football Matrix, hempforpros.com. He staffs the college and NFL teams. He works 28/8. He needs 8 days a week, 28 hours a day to get it done. But Dave, first off, and Ellis and Pete and Brendan, everybody, thanks for sharing your time with us. We appreciate it more than you know.
Morning, Rob. Now, is that the one where you guys were bitching out who got snubbed from the SEC, and I tweeted out that the SEC isn't any good? I think it was something like that.
I don't know who that was.
And that's where Brendan was going to say he was going to eat raw corn if Florida didn't get into the Sweet 16, something like that.
Nebraska. I was talking about Nebraska specifically. So
I know. You got it out because he didn't even make it to Nebraska.
Like I told him, I was holding my breath like it was Creighton, like 10 years ago in the first round. I get it,
Yeah, no, it's all good. But no, the bottom line there though is numbers, and risk aversion. And so to me, college basketball is extraordinarily similar to college football in that the offense and defense are equally valuable, and you have scoring efficiency. Now with basketball, scoring efficiency is a little bit different because you have efficiency from three, efficiency live ball from inside the 3-point line, and then your dead ball efficiency, your free throws and your turnovers. And the SEC, they had two teams in the top 100 defensively. And, if there was a college football playoff, that's the equivalent of having two teams in the top 25 defensively. Yeah. You're not betting on those teams, right? Yes. You're not betting on a bunch of crappy defenses. And that's exactly what the SEC had. It was a bunch of crappy defenses. The argument was, the offenses were so good, the defenses have to be bad. Right. Like Lincoln Riley's defenses have to be bad because the offenses are so good. Sure. Right. Keep sipping that liquor. And then the other part of it was the top four teams in total team scoring efficiency. And you've heard me talk about it on this show ad nauseum, that offense and defensive scoring efficiency is the most important thing for team quality. It's not the most important thing in the game. Yep. That's game control. Game control is far greater than even winning the turnover margin. But when you're looking at team quality, it's offense and defensive scoring efficiency. And great example this year, Indiana Hoosiers, combined offense and defensive scoring efficiency in football, number one. So I believe when I jumped on that show, I gave the top four. And when I made out a bracket, I made sure that when I made out four different brackets, each time one of those four won it. Number one was Duke, full of kids who'd never lost before. Don't really like taking them. Arizona, Michigan, Illinois. So the number three team in the country going into the tournament of total scoring efficiency was Michigan. So to me, those were my four number ones. And clearly, if you looked at the numbers, Arizona, Michigan, Duke, and then it was everybody else. And fortunately, that's the way it turned out again this year.
Yeah. And real quick, brilliant dissertation there. And I was thinking about, y'all remember when Florida State, when Bobby Bowden got there in 76 from West Virginia. In 79, they went 11-0, played Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl, got pounded. And then 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, people would say, God, did you watch that Florida State game, man? It was 42-41, but they lost. Then they hired a guy that y'all all know who he is. He's still alive. He's only 83, from Daleville, Alabama. If you know your geography in the Deep South, that there's the Wiregrass, Dave. That's everything east of 331, the Wiregrass. Now, he came down there. He went to Alabama to college. That's where he graduated from. But he came in there 85, 86. And then from 87 to 2000, to back y'all up on these numbers, 14 straight years, Florida State never finished outside the top 4 or 5 in the country in college football. That's defensive efficiency, Pete Cordelli. You remember, and Ellis, you remember watching Mickey Andrews' defense and all. That's a guy who would be cool to get on here and mix it up. Ellis, we've got you here now. Pete, on sabbatical, he'll be right back.
Yep, I remember we went down to visit Florida State when I was at Mississippi State, and first got there, and everybody was just talking and chatting, old friends. And I said, Mickey, y'all got some coffee? He said, yeah, come on down. So we went down to the coffee room. He asked me one question the whole day. He said, show me your favorite tackling drill. That was funny, but I'm telling you exactly right, though. When he came in and to Florida State, it kind of glued it all together, because that was the one thing they were missing. Bobby taught them how to win, taught them how to play exciting football, but they were giving up too many points, and Mickey changed that real quick.
Yeah, and the thing, like Dave said, you can't just try to outscore everybody. You got to have some defense. And Dave, those numbers that you gave were powerful. Pete Cordelli up in Brentwood in the police lot. Say hello to everybody in Cell Block C. Jailhouse Rock with Pete Cordelli.
Well, and also along with Mickey Andrews was Chuck Amato. Chuck Amato played at NC State, but Chuck Amato played at Easton High School in Easton, PA, and my dad coached against him. And so I've known Chuck ever since I was a little boy. Chuck finished second in the state in heavyweight wrestling his junior and senior year. And you talk about a tough character, and then, went to NC State and played for a guy by the name of Al Michaels. I think Ellis remembers Coach Mike. And you talk about learning some tough ass defense. And Chuck and Mickey and that staff, I was fortunate enough to go down and speak at their spring clinic in '89. And that's when they were really, really good on special teams. And I asked Mickey at the time, I said, how you getting all these blocked punts? He said, Pete, that's secondary. He said, our number one goal when we rush the punter is to force him to shank it. We want him to be able to turn away from the rush, bend his knee, get a bad kick. He said, the second thing we ask for is the block. He said, but we're getting more blocks than we are shanks. I said, well, let me tell you what, when you combine both of them, you're putting those other teams in bad field position. He said, that's our number one goal.
Yeah.
We really want to get the hidden yardage out of those bad kicks. But I'm going to tell you, that staff and their continuity reminds me of what Dave has said about NATTY's staff and continuity. That Florida State staff stayed together for a long, long time.
Yeah, it really did. And Dave, let's keep going on this thing of, you talk about scoring efficiency, offense and defense. SEC defense, it's different. I saw an article Brett McMurphy wrote yesterday. Franz Beard sent it to me. Here's some interesting numbers. The Big Ten, 138 million people live in the states that are the Big Ten footprint, 107 million in the SEC. When you look at the theme going into this year, Big Ten stacks on a national championship in basketball. You can just hear the pain. You can feel the pain in the South. But SEC teams, defense, it wasn't what it was 5 years ago. Do you see a return to the roots, or in today's world, make some sense out of it if you can?
I'm not sure what sense we're trying to make out of it, because I would say college football is a bit of a roller coaster. To have guys like a Nick Saban, like a Bowden, to be able to do something great for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20. Sustainable excellence is so incredibly difficult at the collegiate level. And so I don't know what you make out of it. People say, well, the Big Ten's got more money, it's got more population, they're winning more national titles. Okay, if your only barometer is national titles in the last couple of years, look, I know trends have to start somewhere, but it doesn't mean that's the direction it's going. Look, UConn was just in the national title game.
Yeah.
Why is it? I don't understand why this is a Big Ten SEC thing. UConn was right there in the national title game as well. To me, it is more an indictment of not just the SEC, but all teams. I think what it's showing is, if you do have the money, okay, but you don't have to have all the money. You have to be able to evaluate and build culture every bit as good as everybody else right now. And so being able to have the coaching continuity, the player continuity, the culture, the player evaluation, right now that kind of embodies teams more than anything, right? You look at Hurley at UConn, you look at Cignetti at Indiana, you see some of these common threads of teams that aren't usually supposed to be there, that don't have the brands to be there. You're seeing a lot of those attributes in these programs right now. So find yourself a staff builder, find yourself a roster builder, and guys that can evaluate. Those might be winning more games today than yesterday's teams, simply because the talent is more spread out, and those will be more valuable traits now in your program.
Yeah, Ellis Johnson, I consider to be the greatest defensive coordinator in the history of defensive coordinators, is from Epps, Alabama, brother Bill Oliver. I just fascinated by him, watching him just everywhere he went, things got better in a hurry. You think about a culture. I guess a great definition is no matter where you go in the world, it could be pouring down rain, it could be 3:00 in the morning. If you pass by a United States Marine in an airport, he's dressed impeccably. And that's a culture. It's like no matter what, you're going to look good. As a friend of mine said, he went through basic training at Paris Island one time, and he only did it one time. From Fairhope, Alabama, David Irwin, he said, our drill instructor had 6 shirts starched every day because he never wanted us to see him sweat. He changed them constantly. Ellis, what Dave just said, kind of piggyback on that because folks, all of you watching, get pen and paper handy because this is like a master's class in college football.
Well, a lot of times we come on, and of course, Pete and I come from one direction because we coached and, tried to develop young people and teach them how to play things better with technique. And coaches are like lawyers. We think we're going to win every time, and we think we can beat anybody. I can coach that better than that guy can, but we're just like a bunch of lawyers. I love that. But then Dave comes in, and he ain't even watched the game we're talking about, and he's got the numbers. And it just amazes me. I always tend to end up in the same place. And to me, what Dave just said is you got to have both. You're trying to develop a culture, but you're out there in the portal bringing in 20 kids that have never been in your culture. You better get them straight real quick and get them in your culture. And that's not going to change anytime soon. There was a little piece that y'all probably saw it. It was on ESPN, but Dykes was making light of the fact that Hoover, he probably had sour grapes, but he lost his quarterback to Signetti in the portal. And he was making light of all the turnovers he had. Yeah. And that this new coordinator he had, he's going to reduce the turnovers, and we're not going to have Hoover now turning the ball over 42 times. And Kurt Signetti said, yeah, he did turn it over a lot down there, but since he's been in Indiana, he's met 2 great friends that have really helped him develop into a better quarterback. He's met a great defense and a good running game. and then the article posted where TCU finished in defense and the running game last year. And it was about 2 sentences, but it stuck a knife in that thing real deep and didn't pull it out.
Yeah, Dave, were you going to say something?
No, yeah, that was great. I'm like, what, Sonny? You caught lightning in a bottle one time in your career and got to a national championship game. God knows how. I mean, one of the top 10 what the shit just happened college football moments of my life. And he's been subpar ever since, and he's bitching at Signetti. God, God help us. No,
and TCU got mollywopped. TCU got mollywopped in that national championship game.
Yes.
Oh man! Just shut up, Sonny. Come on, man. Come on, just let it go. Yeah. Let it go. You're lucky to have your job after underperforming since that national title game. But no, what was in my head is what I was talking, because you were talking about, Rob, asking about the SEC Big Ten, and I brought up the lack of culture building, lack of continuity. And so my question is, relative to the SEC, do Rob and or Pete, what teams stand out in the SEC? It's the SEC show. What teams stand out in the SEC that are weakest in those areas? Because everybody's focusing on talent and the players, and we're so player and NFL talent rich. Okay, let's strip all of that away, right? I'm not in that area. I don't see it and feel it like you guys do. What the SEC are probably the most deficient in these intangible areas once you strip away the players?
Yeah. Arkansas and Mississippi State. And
okay.
Those are the 2 that come to mind. But, Rob, I want to go back to something Dave said and what you said about population and about money. But when we look at it, why do we determine that the best players come from Texas, Louisiana, Florida?
Pete, try to reboot, Pete. We can't hear you. Come back in, but I can't hear what he's saying. But I think he's saying, why do we say that best players come from Texas, Louisiana, California? I mean, there's a ton of them down there. But I'll say something interesting. And I hope Pete is right back with us. Population wise, 6 of the 12 largest alumni bases for colleges in America come from what conference? Big Ten. 6 of the top 12. The SEC has 3 in the top 25. That's number 6, Texas, number 7, Texas A&M, and number 8, Florida, with their 500,000 living alumni. Ellis, people still are going to recruit in the South, no matter where they are, but it's different now. I think these kids are more apt to jump on a plane and go anywhere. I tell you, the school that's changed recruiting more than anybody is Oregon. I mean, they've got a nonstop every day from Eugene to DFW. That's a big deal when you're recruiting kids from Texas. And I think back to 2010, their quarterback, Darren Thomas, was from Metro Houston. James, the running back, was from Texarkana, Texas, on the Texas side of Texarkana. But, man, there's Ellis recruiting right now. How would you go about it? Like, first thing I'd do is I'd hire Dave. That's what I'd do.
Well, not only recruiting out of the high schools, but they're recruiting out of other people's programs too.
Yeah.
And there's so many factors in this over, say, the last 15 or 20 years. You've mentioned one of them is population. Population wasn't that big a deal when the SEC played the most exciting brand of football and the fans were more rabid. I mean, if you've been to games in the North and if you've been to games in some of these southern places, it's a different atmosphere now. There are a lot of things in some of those areas of the country. They have other things to do. They got pro sports for many years. South didn't have them. And they've got other things that, they're interested in and help people in the South. It's football or, I'm going to die if I don't get to go to this game next weekend. Yeah. And it was more of a university alumni thing. But here comes NIL. And now population and living alumni and money buckets and all that become real important. The SEC used to put more emphasis on facilities, used to be more aggressive in trying to, show them all the candy and eye candy and recruiting and that type of thing. They were doing a better job of recruiting 17 and 18-year-old kids. And they were stacking them on top of each other. And the portal was not that problem, not the problem it is now. And they were holding all that depth. And like David said many times, there were some SEC teams as recent as 10 years ago, and they would beat these teams by 2 touchdowns every time they played them. But the effect of the thing has gotten a lot of parity within the conference, and they're all beating up on each other. But I think the other thing is when the NIL and the portal has come about, but the SEC, when they first enlarged and the Big Ten enlarged, SEC had a better footprint. And I think they got a better TV contract. I think there are times where their games come on or better exposure. All that gets high school kids. It doesn't get 20-year-old, 21-year-old college kids. They want to know how much you're going to pay them. And, if you got a starter in that position or not, because I can start for you. And if I'm going to get $4 million instead of $2 million, I'm going to come over and play for you. So I don't know how we compare these things. It's great for chit chat like we're doing. But I don't know how you come up with just a hard and fast thing of why this is happening and why that's happening. Everything around these football programs is changing dynamically every friggin' week. And so how you attack it and how you handle it, that has to change every week. Yeah. And right now, Big Ten is doing a little better job.
They are, I no doubt. Hey, Pete, here's your book right here, folks. Pete, tell them how they can order this book. Ellis read it and he said it in the first day and a half when he got it, but it is a great manual. So much good technical stuff. If you're serious enough to be up at 4:30 in the morning to work out, you're serious and smart enough to want to read this book.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Go to Amazon.com, pull up Making the Grade, and you get both the position-specific manual, which we're hearing a lot about leading up to the draft right now, about what the position specifics are that all these young guys were graded on. And the book is just you got to make your grade in school and how you got to make your grade on the if you're going to get a ship.
Hey, Pete, try to reboot again. We're hearing every other word. I don't. Yeah, see if you can try to reboot again and come back in, because I'm hearing about every other word. Right. Pete will come back. But Dave, when you think about this book really breaks it down technically. It's like, an architect has to show the plans to the engineer. If you want the building to work or anything to work, that's important.
Yeah, well, it's a good understanding for the because it's a short book, right? It's very compact, and it is very good for just the average fan that doesn't know their X's and O's, that wants to know a little bit more, maybe about how these guys practice. How do they get to game day? If you want that, a lot of fans don't. They just want to show up on Saturday. But it's a really fun read, and I have it. And I got some things highlighted in it just to go back and remember, because it helps me communicate with coaches a little bit better in terms of trying to understand what they're trying to do, because a lot of those things that are in Pete's book are basics, are standards that are in football today.
Ellis, you heard what Dave was just saying, and I'm sorry Pete's having some technical issues today, but you look at it now. We talk about SEC, Big Ten. If I'm the ACC, I'm making a grab on UConn right now. Say, we'll give up Syracuse and we'll give up Boston College. We want UConn. The Big Ten thinks they're getting into the New York market with Rutgers. That ain't happening. That goes over like the Led Zeppelin to the Hindenburg. It's just not going to work. But UConn, all those folks that live and work, so many of them in New York City, in the financial district, live in Stores, Greenwich, New Canaan, some of the most affluent suburbs in the world. UConn, I think I'd be looking at it. But all right, so Ellis talks a lot about two things that have held the ACC back. Now, we don't live in an echo chamber. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff, but I'll say this: 800 reasons why the ACC is struggling. And Ellis, you know what I'm talking about. You said to me the 800 on the SAT score, and Chapel Hill insisting that basketball was the king of the ACC. That's what's held that conference back, I think. Your thoughts on that, Ellis, and then you, Dave.
Yeah, I grew up in it. 20 miles from my house was the University of South Carolina, and they ended up pulling out they had a kid it played down it ended up going to Tampa. I can't spit the name out, but he was a real athletic quarterback, and they had him signed, and he couldn't get in, and he had to end up going to Tampa. I'll come up with it in a minute. There was another kid named Mike Grosso, big inside basketball player, power forward, whatever. And he had an issue, and I can't remember exactly what it was. He made 800, but he had something on the transcript that they also demanded, and some other colleges didn't.
Yeah.
Well, Grosso ended up coming, but he sat a year. They didn't play him the first year, and they tried to get him eligible. And ACC was fighting them because Tobacco Road, they ran the thing back then. And so those 4 or 5 schools up there in North Carolina, so he ended up over at Louisville. And so it just, those things were going on. And I was, be honest with you, I've sort of we talk about all these problems that we got now with NIL and the portal and the inconsistencies, and they're going to court and they're beating NCAA. There's some other parties that are really guilty in this whole thing too. And that's our institutions of higher learning. They're a friggin' joke.
Yeah.
The entrance exam, the entrance standards, that started getting, moved out of the way back in the 60s and 70s. Then it went to other issues. And now I'm just telling you, I've worked in it 40 years, and I'm not saying every kid, but I'm telling you, these kids are taking crap. They're not taking courses, and they're not getting any kind of really good education that's going to help them do anything when they get out of school.
Yeah.
Now, they're about 5% of them don't need it because they're going to play in the NFL, but they all think they're going to, and they're not. Yeah. And so if they do a little tracking on these kids until they're about 30 or 35 years old, put a little time and money into that, it'd be a pretty good self-evaluation for what's going on with college sports. But that's what happened. I mean, the ACC, they put all their eggs in basket with basketball, and they added all those up eastern seaboard schools up there, like you're talking about, trying to get that metro market. And all the time, right under their nose or right in front of their face, the whole thing's moving to football. I mean, people don't care. The most exciting thing that happened this past week in basketball was Dawn Staley and a geriatric old man that's been at freaking Connecticut now for 100 years got in a cat fight at the end of the game. And it occupied the sports media for 2 days. It was the most exciting thing in college basketball. That tells you about where it is.
Yeah.
75% of America does not care.
Yeah.
You ask them in 3 weeks who won the national championship, they won't remember. They don't know. It's football. That's what's running the whole deal now.
It is. And Dave, it's just, I think it was really cool to see the numbers, the similarities in numbers, scoring efficiency, offense and defense, football, basketball, and football is king. So Dave, right now, let's say, again, you're looking at the SEC and fans are nervous right now because this is not just a one-off. This is 3 in a row. You can understand Michigan and Ohio State winning a national championship, but Indiana, I mean, that's your unicorn. That's like Vanderbilt. Again, they both had their best years in school history this past season. Do you see that trend continuing? And teams like, hey, older is better now in college football.
Yeah, you kind of touched on something there that I just don't understand. It just doesn't register with me, man. SEC fans being nervous. Who the hell is a fan of the SEC? Right? I don't. If I'm Ole Miss, I don't give 2 S's if Texas wins or loses. I want them to lose. I'm not here to root for the SEC and all these other damn teams. I don't. Oh, Auburn's 3-9. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Alabama won a national championship. That's ours too. It's great. What a bunch of BS. Yeah. What's wrong with just good old fashioned everybody sucks but my team? That's what I want back. I want to be mad about everybody all the time. Who are you rooting for now that you're rooting for Tennessee in the men's tournament? No, I'm not rooting for those guys. Unless I'm a ball, I'm not rooting for them. Holy Jesus. You know what I'm worried about if I'm an SEC fan? 9 conference games. That's what's keeping me up at night. Not what the freaking Big Ten's doing right now. Is how the hell am I going to get bowl eligible? So I don't want to, my team, not the SEC.
Yeah, and worrying about what other people are doing, it takes away from you focusing on what you need to be doing to get better. Pete Cordelli back with us, Jailhouse Rock from Brentwood, Tennessee. Pete, come back to us, making the grade. Come on back to us, Pete. Houston to Pete.
I'm trying,
we have worldview.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what now, Lieutenant Dan's got me in a box today. Holy cow!
All right. Well, Pete, we're just talking about the rivalries, but again, Dave, on the flip side of that, nobody's going to want to watch a 3-8 Auburn team play an 11-0 Alabama team. That's maybe on PBS at that point, but I think what the SEC is, there's regional pride all over the country, and we screwed that up. But because the Pacific Northwest, where you live, they love football out there. But man, there's a lot to do out there. You've got, my goodness, the mountains. Go to Bend, like you say, go to Bend, Oregon, and then you'll go. Like I've been in the Florida Keys on a football weekend, college football weekend, and you didn't know what day it was, and you didn't know that Florida was the state team. The Conch Republic out there, Pete Cordelli, that's a different. You don't see too many great college football players coming from the Florida Keys. I think their mind's on other things. Pete?
Though, Rob, I'll say this. You always got to go down to Key West High School because of the naval base down there. That every 3 or 4 years, they will have a family or two move in, And all of a sudden, Key West goes on a run, and you're like, where did these kids come from? So wherever the military bases are, you have to spend some time. It's like going to San Antonio. You know, when Shaq, when his dad was there, basketball wise, but they in San Antonio, because of the military, you have to go recruit those cities and look at the young guys coming through every year. Key West has sent players to SEC schools about once every 3-4 years. You're going to get a group that's coming through. And so you always have to check them because you never know from year to year the transition that's going on with the families that are moving in, moving out. But you know what? They got to travel a little bit to go play some games. But Key West will produce players, but it's like in a 3 or 4 year cycle. And that's why, you know what? You never know. That's why in recruiting, it's never over. You're always searching. And what I really like about what Dave Bartoo did with his camp in North Carolina, I mean, all of a sudden you got 2 big guys that just pop up, and it's like you're always searching because you never know who's going to pop up for you that you go, oh my gosh, I don't want to miss them at all. So, the great American talent hunt is always on all over America. But what I was trying to say earlier, you know, we got Texas, we got Florida, we got Georgia, Louisiana, all these great players. What's going on? And up north, there's a bunch of states that don't have spring practice. High schools don't have spring practice. So how are these Big Ten schools, and I heard you say all of a sudden now everybody's nationally recruiting, and Ellis made a great point. Now we got the NIL. So the evaluation process is still the most important thing going. And you better have the right people doing the evaluations. But the other thing is you got to project young people where they're going to be. And that's why in the part of what I write in the book is called the POD, the plan of development. What's the plan of development for a high school incoming freshman 6 months, 1 year? Because some of these kids from some of these small towns, they've never been in a weight room. They've never eaten like they're going to eat on your training table. And all of a sudden, man, boom, they just blow up and become really good athletes.
Yeah, Pete, here's a question from, I love this guy, Indian Pass Pirate. He's got to be down there around Cape San Blas, Mexico Beach, San Jose Beach. Didn't Ron Carthon go to Key West High School?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Give some love to the Keys, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Marathon. Hey, down there on the way from Miami down to the Keys, there's some places that play football. Yeah. Marathon High School, they've had guys every now and then come again, but you have to check. You call before you go. But the Key West deal, oh yeah, man, you got to go, man. You got to go look at Key West.
Yeah, Dave, I was at fishing one time in Isla Mirada Key, Florida, and we got on there with this guy, Jack. He was from like Flint, Michigan. And he was dressed in long sleeve, khaki shirt, all the way covering his hands, every square inch of his body. And our dumbasses got out there in T-shirts, drinking cold road sodas, cold beer. I got burned as red as my Buc-ee's cup, man. We were bedridden for the next day. We got burned so bad. And I learned a valuable lesson, or as the good old boys say, Isla Mirada Key. Ellis, have you ever been down there to the Keys? But I think about the University of Florida. 500,000 living alumni in the Gator Nation. And there's so much talent. And I'm going to throw this to you, Ellis, and then to Dave. The track and field programs in the state of Florida are so good. Mouse Davis has won 14 national championships, track and field, men's and women's at Florida. He's still the coach. 14. I think track and field is your insurance policy for every sport you play, Ellis Johnson. Agree or disagree?
It's a good sport. I also, certain positions, I like to see kids that wrestle, and certain positions I like to see them on basketball court. It reveals a lot of things that can transition over to football development. Obviously track. I mean, hell, if you can run fast, you can play a lot of sports. You know, it gets you a good start.
Yeah.
But when I was at Clemson, I had South Florida, but there's so many daggum schools. And
Yeah.
of course, we had the area split up so that I had everything from like Titusville down. I mean, I could have stayed in Alligator Alley for a week and brought back 20 players. But if they wanted to come to Clemson, but I never went that far down. I did get in some of the Lauderdale schools. There's some big high schools there. There's a lot of talent in there.
Yeah.
I didn't really get into the Miami schools. It was just so little time.
Yeah. Well, I think about going across Alligator Alley, Dave Bartoo. First time I went across it, there was no gas station across the entire thing. God help you if you ran out of gas. Where are you going to go? Because on either side of you is water filled with gators. But Dave, when you look and evaluate at prospects, track and field, and I think Pete will back me up on this. Bobby Austin, head football coach at MUS in Memphis, my school, CBHS's biggest rival. In 2001, they stopped spring practice, Dave. And he said, you're either going to run track and field, throw the discus, the shot, whatever, or you're going to play lacrosse, or you're going to do both. Because everybody was starting to go to those 7-on-7 camps at that time. Dave, kind of break down, cut through all the minutia, and tell me, do you look for well-rounded guys or football or basketball, whatever, specific guys?
No, that's a different layer of the player identification process, honestly, because that's subjective, right? Well, what I deal with is objective athleticism. So because you look at Pete and you look at Ellis's experience, right? If they sat down, separate rooms, same player, okay, Pete would ask them questions that pertain to Pete's evaluation process, right? Subjective. And how that kid responded, Pete would like or dislike the response. Ellis could ask the same questions, okay? And he is going to perceive the response differently from that athlete, right? Those are subjective things. And so Ellis may go, oh, I love it. Tight ends playing basketball. I love to see that. And Pete might go, don't care. Doesn't matter to me. In my experience, that doesn't mean anything. In Ellis's experience, it means something. These are subjective things. This is why I'm a big proponent of trying to get players going through as many experienced layers in the process as possible before getting to the coach, right? So if I find a kid, we talk about, we talk about out somewhere. We're at North Augusta, right? And I get a hold of Richard Bush down there at North Augusta, the head coach. And I go, hey, coach. Now, what Pete would have done in his time, he would have called and said, you got players. Now, what I do is go, I have the combines and the athleticism grade of every player in the high school. I want to talk to Ellis Johnson. Okay? Ellis Johnson, class of 2029. That's the guy I want to talk to. I don't need the coach's opinion anymore. I have my objective numbers. So now when I go down and talk to the coach, maybe talk to the parents, talk to the player, depending on the circumstance, now I'm gathering subjective information and I'm handing it off to Ellis, who hands it off to Pete. And we go through these layers of experience so that when it's handed to the head coach, it's like, look, this has been through 5 or 6 or 7 really quality eyes, experienced people. Coach, do you want this guy on your team? Because you got seven guys that are buying off on it, plus the objective numbers. I go about it a little bit differently, but understand that there's so much subjectivity in dealing with these players. I feel the more you can stratify that recruiting process with experienced coaches, like an Ellis, like a Pete, I think you reduce your risk that way, which is what we're all trying to do.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing you have to do there, though, Dave, is when you talk to the coach, it's about character.
Yes.
Is this a guy that's dependable? So again, you're gathering more information. But again, if the guy is really a great athlete, there are some character things, you might say, well, okay, it's that old NFL acronym TOE, talent over everything.
Right.
So how do you deal with, and we've talked about it on this show, the prima donnas? Well, we might put up with a little bit of it, because he's worth it from the numbers you've gathered, David. And so that's how you fit the personalities in and how you manage them. So, but man, you're right. The different layers that you go through, and that's why recruiting's changed. Because like when Ellis was saying he was down in South Florida, I recruited Dade Broward County as well. There's 90 high schools playing football in those two counties. Then you go out to Pahokee and Glades. All right. And at the end of the year, they have the Muck Bowl.
Yep, the Muck.
Yeah, the Muck Bowl. All right. They have Pahokee versus Glades. And let me tell you, man, some nights it's raining out there and you're watching it. And them boys, they're trying to run, but they're stuck in that muck out there. And so now you gather all this information and we come back in. And we're looking at this linebacker, and Coach Brown has one, Coach Bartoo has one, Coach Johnson has one, I have one. And now we're trying to figure out, of the four that we brought to the table, who fits the best. And that's why, man, in the old days, there used to be some knockdown, drag out arguments over players. I mean, Ellis, now you don't have that. We got these interns grading this and that and everything else. And that's why there are more misses now, I believe, than there have been in the past.
Brilliant. Let me say something. I love this audience. Indian Pass Pirates, right. Ron Carthen's dad grew up in Osceola, Arkansas, and played at Arkansas State. Dave, let me give you a little perspective. Ellis, you probably know it. I know you do, Pete. Wilson, Arkansas is about 9 miles below Osceola. And these two towns combined don't have 8,000 people. But Wilson produced a guy named Cortez Kennedy, if y'all remember him, defensive lineman that played at Miami. And I met him a few times. Rest in peace, man. But they have Cortez Kennedy Avenue there in Wilson. We go over there a lot. It's right near parking. And I tell you what, Osceola, I mean, that's where Logan's from. I mean, and now they've got the steel plants there, by the way, in Mississippi County. You would think you're in New York City. It's so massive with the steel industry there. But I think these small towns that, and Dave, you live in a small town. You produce work ethic. You produce so much. And I was listening when I was yesterday out, on a hike. I listen to a lot of motivation deals. Lazy is not going to get that weight off your chest in the weight room at 5 o'clock in the morning. Lazy is not going to get you out of bed in the morning. Lazy is not your last name. So that when you go recruit a kid, if you're supposed to meet him at, say, 6 in the morning in the weight room and he shows up at 5:30, I like that kid. I'm going to want to go after him. Ellis Johnson, that's something that in your DNA. Pete, I mean, look at what are the odds? Pete, didn't you have a brother go to West Point?
Yes.
Ellis, you had 2, correct? And you started there but finished at the Citadel, correct?
Right.
There's character right there. You think it's an accident that y'all are who you are and had the success that you had? I mean, Dave, if you're evaluating players, you also think about the coaches that worked with them. I think this is, Pete, that's so cool. We got so many interns evaluating. It's why we have so many misses today. I've never seen recruiting, Dave Bartoo, so off the charts like it is now. And that now makes sense after what Pete and Ellis have just said.
Well, I think there's more tolerance for a miss because they can say, well, we'll just go to the portal if we screw this up, right? Yep. Which is unbelievable, which is like the opposite of efficiency, right?
That's, oh no, Dave.
Less. And so I think the difficulty there is there's too much tolerance for missing on these things, and you don't have to. I really don't think you have to. But again, no matter who you are letting do any kind of evaluation at any level, they are going to take their experience and apply it to that player. Right? I'm a rural kid. I grew up rural. I grew up really poor. I grew up out in the middle of nowhere. But I am probably over loyal to a fault. So if I'm recruiting kids, I'm probably going to gravitate towards those rural kids. Yep. Right? I'm going to gravitate towards what I know because I might see traits that I like in myself that I want in those players. And the fewer people, though, that we have looking at a player to make a decision, the fewer points of view that we have. And so if you have inexperienced people, if you have fewer people looking at these kids, your risk of a bad acquisition simply goes up. Again, it goes back to what is your predetermined layering of information gathering as you go through the process. It should be far more efficient and far better now. If your favorite team right now is doing worse at hitting on prospects, whether it's in the portal or in high school recruiting, then one of your first questions should be, not even before Saturday, what the hell are we doing to evaluate these players before they come in here? Because we're missing more now with more money and more staff than ever before. That's not the way it's supposed to work, and that is a big problem.
It is.
And it is a time where you have more technology, better film, more access to film. I mean, we go back when Pete and I first broke in, high schools had reel-to-reel film, and then a little bit later they had the what do you call those cassette things? The
VCR.
VCRs, okay. But hell, they couldn't afford to have 10 copies of a football game made.
Oh.
So they may have one, they might have two if it's a really big high school. And if Pete got in there before I did, he's going to ask to borrow it, and he ain't going to bring it back for 3 months.
That's right.
Yeah. Well,
you didn't have the technology we have now where you sit in the staff room with 10 other coaches and run through about 100 kids that are provided to you through one of these recruiting services. But I think what's happening is some coaches are, they're making their evaluations off of that, and they're not going and getting the face-to-face and talk to some teachers and other people around the school and find out, the coaches are going to usually tell you if he's a good kid or a bad kid. But sometimes they're going to always try to tilt it a little bit. This kid's the greatest kid in the world. Y'all can, then he gets there and he's got baggage, man. But we just don't, I don't think there's quite as much of the person-to-person element. And one of the problems with it is sometimes your most intense time of closing that recruiting cycle is right in the middle of your season. And you can't be two people at one time. It's hard to be preparing a football team to play and have a game on Saturday and still be really, you can't get out and go see them as much. You just can't physically get there.
Yeah. Tommy Tuberville used to be on the show before he got another job. And he said one time when he was recruiting, remember Ray Lewis out of Kathleen High School in Lakeland, Florida. He said it was around the 4th of July. He got his ACT score and he said, "Coach, I made it." He said, "What? You serious?" He goes, "What do you got?" He had like a 16.5. Back then you could round it up to a 17. And he said, "I wanted to make sure." So I drove from Miami. He was defensive coordinator for Dennis Erickson, drove up there to meet with the coaches. And so let me see that transcript. He goes, "You made it." So Tuberville said the first time, I think when Ray Lewis was a freshman, they were playing at Colorado or at Virginia Tech. Flying back, Dennis Erickson came down the aisle, said, "Tommy, how'd your defense do?" He said, "Well, I don't know. I hadn't had a chance to watch the tape yet, but we had a freshman linebacker make 16 tackles, Ray Lewis." And Ray, he said, was maybe 6'1", 6'1", the top of his helmet, big, strong. He said, but Ray Lewis just, whatever you needed that guy to do, Dave, one of the great terms I've ever heard, elevator, okay? And by the way, a bit of trivia here. Love the engagement from the audience, and we lost everything now, but everybody knows if they ride an elevator a lot in the town where they live, in Memphis, every single elevator is signed by Wayman T. Welsh. I don't know who he is, but he's the guy that signs the elevator certificate. But Dave, I think the thing I've learned today, there are good players everywhere. I like what you said about the small town, especially if a kid grew up working on a farm. Dave, you live out, you've got a farm. Every time I talk to you, 5 o'clock, I hunt out in South Dakota and Iowa. You got 90-year-old men still baling hay. They're going, somebody's got to do it. That's I would be recruiting that.
Oh yeah, old habits die hard. Hell, I was up at 4 splitting wood before I came on the show. So
are you serious? That's awesome.
for next winter. So no, but this is why I talk about the layering of experience and subjectivity One of the biggest things that drives me nuts in recruiting is big programs will literally wait until other programs find the kids, interview them, offer them before even stepping in. Let somebody else try to do all the work. When and you're missing out on relationships. So it's just a different world right now. But it constantly changes. It constantly changes. I just think you should be missing less, not more now than ever before because of the accessibility of information.
Dave, hey, Rob, I want to say this. Tommy Tuberville can go to hell. You know who Ray Lewis was committed to before he went to Miami? The Kent State Golden Flashes.
Oh,
when I was the head coach there. There's a head coach in Tampa by the name of Dick O'Brien. He was at Hillsborough High School for years in Tampa. His son Shannon is on my staff. The head coach at Ray Lewis's high school played for Dick O'Brien. Shannon goes down to Tampa. And he said, Dad, he said, hey, you got to go see Coach so-and-so. He got this kid named Ray Lewis who just won the state wrestling championship, but he doesn't have any offers.
Oh.
Walks in, he doesn't have any offers because of his grades.
Yeah.
So we're all set to bring Ray Lewis for a visit. And damn Tuberville goes to the school and says, don't go visit Kent State. We'll stay with you. And here's a little something for your troubles. All of a sudden, Shannon calls. He said, Coach, we were supposed to have a home visit. Ray Lewis is going to Miami. He said that damn Tuberville came in here and not only told them they were going to wait as long as it took, but they sweetened the pot. So I've known Tommy Tuberville since he was a GA at Arkansas State and I was at Memphis State. He had a house in Jonesboro. They called it Bunker Hill. And you know what? The only way Larry Lacewell could pay him is he made him the women's golf coach at Arkansas State and a GA. That's why Tuberville's so damn good at golf. He can go to hell in Ray Lewis because Ray Lewis had called me and said, Coach, I'm coming to Kent State. You're the only one that offered me. Then when I try to call him back, he won't answer the phone.
All right, wait, we run out of time. That's the most unbelievable. I never knew that. I've known you 33 years, Pete. Dave, you got aches and pains. You got trouble sleeping. Tell them how they can get help and also how they can follow you. And also get out, support all of our sponsors. Landers Ford, open every day of the week, landersfordmemphis.com. And Dave, great stuff. Pete, Ellis, unbelievable. But Dave, they need help.
Yeah, well, get yourself down to Hewlett and Dunn. Don't forget that. But if you got sleep issues, anything, whether it's aches, pains, waking up at night, getting up too early, try Hemp for Pros, lights out gummies. Guarantee you, your sleep number on your Apple phone, you name it, it will absolutely improve. So get to hempforpros.com, use the coupon code sidelines for a chunk of change off that cart, and pick up yourself some lights out sleep gummies today at hempforpros.com.
Can I buy them in Hewlett and Dunn? Do you have them in Hewlett and Dunn?
I wish we did. The Kent State Golden Flashes. Hey, God bless America. Thanks, everybody, for watching. For executive producer Brendan Martin. Stay tuned tonight for the Lowdown with Lauren Meadows. These are three of the smartest people on the planet. Have a great day, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take it easy, Rob.
Thank y'all.
Hey.